Today we'll be learning about melanoma. Melanoma is a form of skin cancer which develops in our melanin-producing cells, melanocytes. They proliferate and start to damage surrounding cells. How common is melanoma? Melanoma accounts for 2% of skin cancers, but is responsible for 75% of deaths and affects 1 in every 65 people in Australia. We have the highest incidence rate of melanoma in the world. It's the most common cancer affecting Australians aged 15 to 39. For our Indigenous population, the likelihood of developing melanoma is lessened, with 35 cases a year, but a higher mortality rate with 5 annual deaths. The risk of developing melanoma increases with age and if you are a male. The etiology of melanoma can stem from both environmental and genetic factors. An overexposure to UV radiation through tanning is estimated to be responsible for nearly 65% of melanoma skin cancers. This is due to the damage UV has on our cells. Light initiates a cycloaddition reaction between 2 adjacent bases of thymine, creating a thymine dimer, a lesion on our DNA. Dimers not only damage but change the structure of DNA by creating kinks in the helix. This blocks transcription and replication, meaning our genetic information may be permanently mutated. Repair of dimers can be carried out by photoreactivation, but damaged DNA builds up over time, initiating the development of malignant cells. Having light eye and hair colour as well as fair skin also increases the risk of developing melanoma. Individuals who have type 1 and 2 skin possess less melanin than those with skin type 3 through to 6, and as we know, the less melanin we have, the more risk we have of receiving a nasty sunburn. Having a high density nevus count is a well-recognised contribution to the increased risk for melanoma as well. Moles are benign lesions comprised of high concentrations of melanocytes. One study showed that 81% of patients observed a changing mole in the location of a lesion. Other risk factors include family history of melanoma, history of blistering sunburns, as well as one's immune system health. Let's take a closer look at the role DNA plays in the development of skin cancer. 25 to 50% of people with hereditary melanoma have a mutation in the CDKN2A tumour suppressor gene, which encodes for 2 distinct proteins, INK4A and ARF. A mutation in CDKN2A disrupts the functions of both proteins, which are imperative in regulation of the cell cycle. INK4A inhibits the progression through G1 phase of the cell cycle. Loss of function in the INK4A prevents the binding to and activation of CDK4. The end result in this is unconstrained cell cycle progression. ARF protein has been shown to stabilise a tumour-suppressing gene, P53. P53 is essential for cell death by apoptosis, as well as cell cycle arrest. A mutated P53 gene is found in 50% of all cases. So what are the signs that someone may have developed a melanoma? When clinicians are examining a mole as potential melanoma, they will assess off the ABCDE rule. They will check to see if the mole is asymmetrical, if it has an irregular border, whether there is a lack of colour consistency. They will examine the size of the mole and ask about the evolution. Has the mole changed in shape, size or colour over the last few months? These are all indicators that a melanoma has developed. If it has metastasised, symptoms will occur in the affected organ. To understand these symptoms, it's important to understand the pathophysiology. Let's firstly look at the normal function of a melanocyte. They are located deep within the epidermis, sitting just above the basement membrane. In the cell cytoplasm, there are membrane-bound organelles responsible for producing melanin called melanosomes. Melanin units are formed between melanocytes and keratinocytes. Cell-to-cell contact structures are formed by adhesion molecules called cadherins. Dendritic processes aid in the transfer of melanin to the keratinocytes. Melanin granules will accumulate and get pushed towards the surface of the dermis with the natural shed of keratinocytes. This is what provides us with a glowy tan in summer, but more importantly is our body's natural defense mechanism against UV. The development of cancer is a multi-step process involving mutation and selection for genes with increasing capacity for proliferation, survival, invasion, and metastasis. Tumour initiation is the first step, arising from genetic alteration. This leads to proliferation and the outgrowth of a population of clonally derived tumour cells. Tumour progression continues as additional mutations occur. Once the tumour reaches the lymphatic or circulatory system, it has the ability to metastasise and spread to other areas of the body. This is then classed as stage 4 metastasized melanoma. Thanks for watching.